Welcome everybody. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Right, we obviously had not our greatest day yesterday. I'm not very happy about it, like I'd said, but it's the first month in a while where we have had two losses, two losing days. And obviously, we need to take this into consideration. All right, I want to go through this first before we go through anything else. We'll brush it under the carpet. It is what it is. All right. So, right, I my particular, trading strategy with the basket, and I think one thing that I have taken for granted, because obviously I trade quite a large account, but I trade at a very small risk, so obviously mine can obviously handle, swings. So what I'm going to implement is because I tell everybody with the basket, target about 3% a day. All right. So what does that mean? We want to be targeting, or probably 3%, maybe 2%, but what I want everyone to have is a maximum cut-off switch. If you go 6% in a day down, that's it. We close out. All right. We'll start again tomorrow because the idea is that, if you are, making your, two percent every day, it's going to take you 3 days to get it back. All right. So if we've had, for example, I know that the first day wasn't too bad, but obviously, if we throw in a 6% loss here, but then we're making obviously our 3% here or two percent here, we're going to end every week in profits. And I think swallowing a loss is the biggest lesson in trading, and it's the hardest one. Everybody finds it hard. It is what it is. What we've got to remember is, look at our overall picture. Since June we get it right 70% of the time. All right, so just gonna check on this again. Yeah, very nice. Right. Okay. So let's obviously go through. I did a big update yesterday on the dollar, and obviously why we did what we did, and obviously I still can't change direction. One thing that I go with, one of my superpowers of my trading strategy is that I go with overall macros and overall trend. Now, what I've actually found since I've been implementing this properly, hold on 2 seconds. Because my dog loves to chew this particular teddy. We had it the other day. We've got it today. I've caught you this time. Right. Right, I trade trend and macros. All right. All right, because macros we can get it pretty much bang on. I'd say it's, 90% correct. Trend, you can get that 90% correct. What we cannot account for, and this is nothing to do with obviously my strategy or routine or anything. What I cannot account for is unprecedented times where obviously profits are just being taken off the table. All right, that's what happened yesterday. So we obviously can't account for it. Now, looking at trend here, we've got to continue with our overall outlook here. The dollar is, strong, and I think, as long as it stays in and around this area, it's gonna, stay strong. All right. So that's obviously this is my kind of area here. If we break through here, yes, then we're going to have to look to flip a few things round here. But obviously this 100, no one probably appreciates how instrumental this level is. All right, it's a massive institutional level here. So now it's come back and retested. It's going to make its mind up as to which direction it wants to actually go. So we've really got to appreciate how important this 100 level is. Right, yields, like I mentioned, as long as we're above that 4.2%, money is going to carry on flooding into the US dollar. All right. So let's obviously have a look what we've got coming up. Yes, we obviously had Australia raise interest rates. This was priced in, and I do think this was part of why Yesterday we had this little pump up. I haven't had a chance to go through the RBA statement yet. But yeah, no surprises because it's tailed off this morning. It's not going to be a everyone's going to be tippy toey because no one knows what is, happening. I know Australia and China are a little bit out of it. They're obviously not involved in obviously what is, happening with obviously Iran, US, Europe, UAE. But obviously they're still going to have an impact because they do trade with everybody else, So we've got to be aware of it. Now we've obviously got some employment change coming up a bit later on, and that's about it. But everything we have to be aware. I did say this week is going to be a tricky week, and obviously it come out of the blocks, hammering it. So tomorrow is a massive day. All right, we got inflation data for euro. We've got an interest rate decision for the US dollar later on. We got an interest decision for CAD, so everything is very, very, yeah, gonna be on burners this week. So don't take that for granted when we're trading. I do think the big move happened yesterday, and obviously that is, what we're playing off today. Now, the trades that we've got in play right now, we've got JPY, still want this to continue, tap into these areas. We're running a nice bit of profit at the, moment, so happy there. Euro, um, you know, parked up nicely. Again, look at trend. All right. We cannot argue. Nobody can argue that trend is doing this, right? So it should at least, for any of the technical traders here, double bottom out here before we get that push up. We've seen a very, very good scenario of this on gold, which obviously we'll go over in a minute. And then obviously we've got Aussie, nice, starting to push yeah, starting to push down. Happy, look at these rejections here. That's pure vision here. Aussie is pretty high. It's not tanked as much as everything else. So that's why I do think it is, the outlook wise, it's, looking like I'm just gonna check mine. They are running very, very nicely. I'm happy with these. Yeah, running good. Just need Euro to catch up now, and then we're flying. We're back to smoothness, which is what we want. Right, then we've obviously got gold hasn't tapped, but I like the idea of this, continuing at least to obviously equal these lows here. The 5,000 level, which we spoke about on Sunday. Broke that down. I've been calling it to be tapped, ever since it tapped at the beginning of March, so yeah, that's obviously what I'm looking for today. And then we got USDJPY, which is triggered too. So, we're obviously going to, see what happens here. Remember, the stronger oil is, the weaker yen will always be. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens here. Right, that is about it from me this morning. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions at all? Happy to answer. Happy to answer. Running pretty nicely, pretty happy. We got AUD USD in some nice profit. We got GBP USD in some nice profit, and we got Euro starting to creep back as well. So that's what we like to see. But yeah, Uh, happy I covered back my loss. Perfect. Brilliant. Well, my account's running, nicely this morning. But what I want to say to everyone is implement what we spoke about. All right. Implement a max, loss. Yeah. All right. So you want to have, because obviously we don't have many, losing days. You want to make sure, even like worst case, a week's worth of trading, you want to make sure that if you have one loss and four wins, it's break even. So yeah, that's obviously how we want to play it. But no, apart from that, I'm going to go get this other small one ready for school. But yeah, if you got any questions, reach out to me. I'm always here. Always obviously happy to, help. I'll voice note you back. You guys know that, so utilize the private chat. Yeah, and have a great day, everyone. We're going to be on the right track this week. So yeah, have a good one, guys. Have a good one.